Good afternoon, everybody. It's Mike Pisani. It is Tuesday, June 6th. The markets are open, and this is your daily recap and option flow update. What a wild day we have had. The action here, you see the market is still opening. It's 3:30. We have a half hour to go, but I do have a 4 o'clock meeting. So after a very, very low volume, lethargic day in the markets with some things to do that we'll go over, in the last hour, we've exploded. We had an explosive move to the upside on news coming out that Comey would not throw Trump under the bus. And then we've had a really steep sell-off. Of note, in the last 20 minutes, we've had two large put buyers come into the queues. One hit the July 143 puts for about $250,000 worth, and then one that just came in as I was starting this up hit the July 142 for over $900,000. So there is some concern coming into here and coming in very, very quickly, and with good reason, as we are seeing a massive sell-off. I'm going to bring my other chart in here on a lot of our favorite names like Facebook off a cliff, Apple now, Amazon, Tesla's just starting to go, Google already went, Baba, NVIDIA. So we can see now we have some issues developing here. We'll have to see how some of this plays out. Unfortunately, I did not get caught in that, but I was not quick enough to switch short as I was getting ready to put the video up. All right, so on to today's action. We're going to leave this up. We're going to keep a look at this here so you guys can keep an eye on the markets and see what's going on. As I see a flow here, I'll call it out. Oscillators continue to cool off. This is a good thing. Should give us some more room to play. All right, we'll pull this down to here. Still see it. All right, Google was one of the first things today that we saw. Was it Google? Yep, Google. They bought the August 860 calls this morning, and they came in right up in this area here. Get off of 1 minute back to a 5-minute chart. They came in up in this area here. So we have an 850 and an 860 call buyer in the last couple of days. It's definitely something to watch. We have a reversal candle coming in today, so keep an eye on that as well. We saw some action in NVIDIA early on. NVIDIA got very busy early on. We saw two call sweepers come in. The first one came in and they tagged the June 23rd 150 calls. Sold off, and then they came back and they hit the June 9th this week's 148 calls, which gave a nice move here into that. Now we're coming in. We've got a reversal candle potentially setting up here as well. Please be aware. I did not trade either of these names today. I did trade Amazon today. I caught Amazon for a nice 60+ cent scalp up into this and got out, and I have not touched it since. I was looking at puts up here but got distracted, so I kind of missed that boat. Baba, I did trade as well. Left that one flat when it couldn't break this top here. Got out for a couple cent win enough to cover my costs. Not a big deal. What else do we have going on today? General Dynamics saw a pretty decent put buyer coming in. The July 200 puts over $600,000 came in early this morning and is drifting down here. We haven't seen a put buyer like this in GD in a long time, so just something to keep an eye on here. Another thing that was really prevalent most of the morning was we saw call buyers going into gold, and then the miners, Nugget and JNUG. They were busy in these things all morning, buying calls on them all afternoon. A lot of this looked like hedging before the news came out ahead of Thursday. You have the British election, and you have Comey speaking to Congress. So I think that's something we're seeing here at this point. But we saw quite a bit of it, and then they started going after GDX into the afternoon. And on GDX, they were buying the June 23rd calls, and then the June 30th 2650 calls, and then this week's 24s. So you can see we've had a lot of action today in the miners, JNUG as well. Very mixed stuff there. What else do we got going on today? First Solar, I did trade with Common, took a very small loss on it and got out of the way. So what happened with First Solar is we had a call buyer. Come in right here. And it was notable because they bought this week's 3750 calls, over $100,000 of it. They were looking for news and they got it. A couple minutes later, we had unconfirmed report that First Solar was going private. And we came in on this candle right here. I ended up buying up into here. sold down 14 cents on 1,000 shares and called it a day. If a name doesn't pop on a rumor, my thing is get out and get out quick. Sorry, somebody's hitting up some news. What else we got going on today? Lots of other stuff. So Square, what's a day without Square seeing some buying? And we had plenty of buying again in Square early on the open this morning. They came in and they're going long-term on it, but they did hit the July 25 calls a couple times, quick back-to-back succession right here and push it to a new high. Micron saw a monster call buyer in the money, June 30th, 29 calls for roughly $2 million. I'm sorry, $1.5 million. Then we had a little sweeper up here that came into the weekly 3250s. You can see that thing got it ignited, got it going here at this point. Lots of good stuff there. Not to be outdone, Tesla, which had another massive move today, got call buyers coming into it all day. The first one, they bought the weekly 350s, and they put about $700,000 into it. Then they came back and hit the June 23rd 400 calls, which may have been a rollout from some of the previous action. And then, hey, what the hell? Let's go hit it again. They hit the weekly June 350 calls for about another $650,000. You can see these all push it up. We do have the shareholder meeting tonight, and we'll have to see how this all plays out tomorrow. I'm going home with no position in Tesla overnight here. One of the names I thought was interesting is Mattel. Saw a couple buyers today, and they came into the lows, and they kind of nailed this. They got the June 22 calls, almost $500,000 of them. So somebody's coming in and putting a short-term bounce into Mattel. You got a nice little hammer candle on it. This is one I'd watch for tomorrow to see if it can get going, maybe get some upgrades. AMD, man, I didn't catch this. I know a lot of people who were long it already. We talked about this last night, some people on Twitter, and they were right. I was a little nervous about it. Moved, and there were small sweepers in here, and then all day long we've seen small sweepers into this. You know, not most of them were small. June 12th, we saw June 12th calls for 115,000. So the weeklies for 17 on the 12s. More weeklies for 19K on the 12s. Then we saw another big buyer, the June 12s, for $123,000. And we kind of saw this all afternoon long. And they even started hitting the 1250s at one point. So lots and lots of action as it came right into the 50-day and halted there. So AMD is something that's woken up, maybe some consolidation. It can get going if this market holds in here. FireEye, another name, what we've been talking about that I liked, woke up today. Come on. FireEye woke up today. First, we had a put seller. Put seller came in and sold the July 14th 15 puts. Then we had a weekly call sweeper came into the 1650 calls up here. And honestly, great action. There was a very vague buyout rumor. And we'll see if this thing holds up here. This thing looks like it could try to go and take this out. GS has a target of 18 on it, so it's a name I have a lot of interest in here. Facebook, I told you, for option-wise, it was dead, but there was busy flurries of activity. Facebook, we've had a couple days of call sweepers in it, and you can see they came into it twice today, but nothing extremely great, aggressive. We saw a July 7th 160 call sweeper, and then we saw July 160 call block come in. You know, you tell friends you're busy and they still keep it anyway. Anyway, neither one of them really got it going. And now we got a reversal candle today and see how it handles the 8 days. It's come right back into it real quickly. Apple. I think I need to restart TOS, by the way. We'll do that after I'm done. Day is almost over. Apple. So Apple was one of those weird days. After yesterday, I didn't think it would do much. Moved up, waffled around. And then we started seeing call buyers come in, but they're none big. They're all really pretty small. So we saw the first one was they were buying the September 170 calls. Came into but September 2018. So that didn't give me a lot of juice. Then we saw the June 9th 155 calls bought, and then they hit them again. And then they came in and hit at the end of the June 9th 157.50 calls as it started to come down. I did trade Apple. I did make a little money. I left it too soon. I got out. I chased this candle, was unhappy chasing it, and got out up in here, and I missed the big move, and that's all on me. Still made money. Green day, very nice green day. I love having a green day. It's always a good thing. So Apple, I would put back in your playbook to see if they come back for this tomorrow. Holding above the 8-day, still tight, still looks constructive here. FedEx got a small call buyer here. They did come in and they hit the June 205 calls, nothing with size, didn't really do much for the stock. UPS picked up the same one. They picked up the July 112 calls. Again, you can see that marked here. No real major reaction, didn't do much. Of note this morning, we were seeing some VXX call buyers. They came into this thing a couple times. This morning, and they hit the June 1650 calls with size, and then they hit the June 30th 15 calls with size. So they came in twice for this. It's hitting highs here. Market's still kind of sold off, but held the lows again. So you can look at this and say we're still holding Friday's low here on the SPY. So these guys still have some work to do. The other big thing was energy today. We saw them starting to sweep into energy. On the open, they came in, they hit the COG July 25th calls for about $80,000, and that got a nice little traction. The big winner has been Oxy. They hit Oxy multiple times today. They came into it close to the lows, and as it went higher, and they hit the July 6250s both times. And the reason they're coming after this today is oil. Oil bounced today. Maybe off of somebody in the chat room was talking about off of Qatar news. I'm not sure. Held this area, didn't get back above the 8 days. So oil tried to bounce. Maybe we got a dead count bounce here. Of note, they also hit How, Oasis, and Hess in the XOP. I have no energy positions right now. Go back to Nike. Nike, you can see they've been tagging this every day. Today was no exception. They came into this one here again today, and they hit the December calls again, the same ones they've been hitting. They hit the January 5250 calls. This is a name that continues to intrigue me. It's been buying this now for a couple weeks, and it hasn't moved yet. I urge you guys to keep an eye on this one. If you're long-term swing traders, I would be eyeing those January calls in this name. C saw some action in the banks as one of the few names, but nothing big for C. They bought the July 14, 6150 calls. No real big reaction. You see it came in and the stock hasn't moved. Of note, the financials aren't selling off during this here. They're holding in during this little sell-off here. By the way, I did play GS into this here today. I scalped it for about a 20-cent win on I think 30 options. So it was a nice little trade on that one. What else do we have going on? That about covers it. So with that said, guys, I urge you all, be careful. The one thing we've been noting is that breadth has been very bad of late, although it did improve steadily today. And it's kind of surprising it has not fallen off far today. The IWM, not really feeling the hit that the other indexes are feeling here. Nice strong candle today. If energy and the banks hold in, the IWM could lead us higher and we could see some rotation. So that said, we have about 15 minutes for the market closes. We've had a nice little sell-off here, and maybe this sets us up for something tomorrow. We can buy a dips, get some 8-day catches here. Hope everybody had a great day trading, and I look forward to talking to you tomorrow. Good night.